Hey guys, Bolt here. We're back with another summary video. So, this one's a little bit better than the last one. Last one was just a very basic concept. This one is about Shipwrecked 64. So, next time I do one of these big of a summaries, I need to actually write it down and explain piece by piece. But anyways, it all actually starts a little bit earlier in the timeline than a lot of people think. It actually starts, let's see here. No, advertisement. I have the Wikipedia up. Rex Broadside. He is the creator of Bucky the Beaver and Blot the Bunny. So if you guys don't get too far deep into Shipwreck 64, Blot is not very well known, but it's a white rabbit that was one of the first creations of Rex, and he was like a cartoon who could kind of jump off the page. That was its selling point. It was a cartoon creature that could jump off the page. It was a very fourth wall break kind of character. And it got popular because it was something that could be very relative. And he, in his youth, Rex in his youth got, he's seen the stars in his eyes and decided to sell off Blot to a company, but not reading the, actual contract. It was him actually selling the rights and the IP, which meant he lost Blot in its totality. Anyways, eventually he would make Bucky and all the other characters, and he would die regretting some of his decisions. But the thing that the Broadside Beach studios decided to do was take the concept of jumping off the page, and once Rex passed away, they decided to start doing experiments for starlings, which are like wood-based beings that took the soul and put it into them. So they would make a think about Five Nights at Freddy's, but instead of robotics, it's just a being made out of a soul and some material. And they made the Blot starling, which is the dwellers in the third layer. Like, whenever there's distortedness and the characters start running after you, that's what the starlings are. And Rex was the first person to be turned into Blot. And further down the line, they started taking the characters like Bucky Beaver and his friends and created, what are they called? They made characters with them as well. And Bucky, the person who you see in a lot of the secret tapes, was Brandon Lester, who was the public figure for a while, and eventually he died he had cancer, and he took fentanyl, I think it was, and he ended up overdosing, and they ended up making him into the starling of Bucky. But that Bucky went on to start killing other characters. Let's see here. There was Nathan Stewart. I know that's one of them. He would become... Let's see. I hate when they make it to where it's very hard to see the rest of the stuff. He was an animator. He got turned into Walter Walrus. And this guy, I'm trying to find finally. Oh, he was just brutally beat. He took a chair to the Bucky Starling. He beat him down and like did a lot of internal damage, and he ended up taking off his chair to him. And okay, back to the video. Anyways, yeah, Nathan ended up getting brutally beat down, chair to him, and then he got turned into the Starling for Walter Walrus. Then there was Gary Wilson, who was the person that you seen get like his head bashed in a lot of times, and then he got thrown into like probably a whale and got deep fried alive, and there was a fire that went on. He would go on to become oh god, I'm thinking of the character. Oh great, wikis are. I hate wikis because they take so much. Giovanni Goose. And then Olivia, who was a voice actor, ended up getting beaten and drowned at her own place and drugged to be thrown into water to be drowned, and she became Olive Otter. And then I'm trying to remember. Let's see here. We went over Blot, Bucky, Giovanni, Olive. I know there was one more. I know there was the Vandal and Stumbler. Stumbler O'Hare was another like character, but he was supposed to be like the redesign of Blot to make. He was a blue rabbit. Oh wait, never mind. Let's see here. Okay, so the only characters I know that were also turned into Starlings was the like rodent Vandal, and then there was where is he? You seen him in the very end of the game. The Studio Grounds Husk. And that would just be a wooden suit, and then the rodent you see patrolling. And all these Starlings would eventually become very aggressive towards people, and it would end up getting the fairgrounds shut down. And alongside that, they were making a game through Cogware Games, which their head officer was Connor, where is he? Connor Thompson, who basically him and his team were trying to make a decent experience that came with some of the best 3D graphics, some of the best technology to date. But the issue that ended up making their game, which was Shipwrecked, not come out the way it was supposed to, was the characters did not have the personality that Mark, the head of Mark Mollison, he was the head of Broadside, and he wanted there to be three-dimensional characters. You can tell the personality of them without having to really look into it so much. But the characters were very one-dimensional. It was like Giovanni was the jerk friend, Olive was the outgoing one, Wally was the funny one, while Walter, and then Bucky was kind of the most only two-dimensional character, where there'd be like he actually was like the hero of the story. It's just everyone their personality through a single sentence told who the character was. So you really didn't feel any emotion in them. They were just there to be characters. And also, like, they didn't, like, I think the original demo, where it was just classic Nintendo 64 graphics, where he had, like, white gloves. I think that's what it was supposed to originally look like. But, Mark didn't like how it looked, and it didn't even look recognizable to Bucky. But anyways, this amount of money that kept getting put in, they also had all those experiments with the Starlings. They had the fall of the fairgrounds. So it's just Broadside could no longer afford funding the game, so they had to turn around to try to save the company. But really, they couldn't do much. So in the end, they would end up releasing the game, but Connor ended up doing something to put them to bed, like into the company. And so basically all these, like, it started with Rex. He created Blot. He lost the rights to Blot. He went to go make the other characters. He died. They made experiments with Starlings. He became the Starling Plot. And then, we had Brandon Lester. He became Bucky through fentanyl death. Gary died by getting, burned alive. Well, beaten, then burned. And he would become Giovanni. Then it was Nathan, got beaten, struck with his chair, became Walter. Olivia got beaten, drowned. So basically, very violent, then finale for the death. And she would become all of the Otter. We'd have the Vandal and the I have to scroll up here. The Husk, and those two would be kind of like the most unstable of the Starlings. And then it's just like the fairgrounds having to be closed, the Cogware games not meeting expectations, so they had to cut ties with them, and then and then Mark was also dealing with the death of his wife, which he's been putting a lot of money into. So all in all, between the experiments, the shutting down of the fairgrounds, the cut of the game, and the death of his wife, there ended up being just nowhere to go for him. So when they released the game, they only had a few days before, they noticed something that Connor did to be a little like, you can't release this game and say it's bad and want to try to make a quick buck off of it and not bring Cogware into it. Was he had footage of the deaths, and he would reveal that these deaths happened and they weren't brought up to the authorities, or that there was such evidence, but Broadside wouldn't want to bring it up. So it got to the public, that torn down Broadside. They had to bring it back because of the imagery. And Connor, before it getting uploaded, he had his son Patrick do that. His son Patrick was the one that ended up implementing the footage into the game and sending it to Broadside to release to the public. Connor ended up taking his own life by jumping off his balcony. And later on, the company that is remaking the game and releasing it to the public, but also including these disturbing disturbing content, was his son, Patrick Thompson, who would be like, I recreated the game, wanted to give my father the, like, how big of a person he was, even though he took his own life. He wanted to thank his father for even, thinking about him, because the designs of the game characters were meant for his son in mind. It was meant for the younger demographic when they were originally wanting it to be an open book. But anyway, so basically it was just company being shady, taking lives of their own employees, using them for free labor through some weird creations, hiring a game creator just to cut them off, and then the CEO of that game company offing himself but having his son upload the evidence of the deaths, that failing the company, and then later on that son go on to make the game that we know and play. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. I know there was a few characters I didn't really go over, which was like the in-universe characters like Stumbler and Chief Wolf. Those ones are more of just like they exist and they're supposed to be kind of the hold on. There's supposed to be 3 pure souls. It's Stumbler, Chief Wolf. Oh, and Mayor JD. They're like the leading forces to kind of get the evidence out of the game. Yeah, it's just though that's all they wear, or just characters to introduce to give like symbols for later game parts. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.